Hey everybody, welcome to our first video for the Theory of Knowledge class. Now through these videos we're going to go through some of the basics of the ToK class. ToK can at first appear like a pretty large and broad subject, and I guess it sort of is, but what we want to do with these videos is introduce some of the basic tenets of the ToK curriculum. And we're going to talk about all sorts of different subject matter, math, science, history, literature. We're going to talk about a lot of different ways that we know about these ideas, language and reasoning and intuition. And there's going to be plenty of time to get to that stuff. But in this first video and the next couple of videos, I want to introduce again some of the basic ideas associated with ToK. I kind of want to give you an introduction to what the course is going to be all about. So, theory of knowledge. First there's going to be, what's the class going to be about? But before we get to that actually, I want to talk a little bit about you guys. Who are ToK students? So I'm going to get my title out of the way here, and that's what I want to talk about. Who are ToK students? Well, obviously we're talking about you folks, but what does it take to be a good ToK student? Well, in a lot of ways it's what it takes to be a good student in any subject matter. But because the subject matter of ToK itself might seem a little unique to you, we have to go over what it is we want you guys to be doing on a consistent basis. So, first and foremost, what are ToK students? They are thinkers. Now, that seems pretty obvious, but it's more about what we're going to have you think about. Instead of thinking about a particular subject matter, like calculus, like US history, like my subject, chemistry, or literature, we're going to have you, in a way, think about thinking. Now that sounds a little too squishy perhaps, but ultimately what it is we need you to think about is knowledge. What is knowledge? What is knowledge in particular subject areas? What does it mean to know something? How do you know when you know it for sure or when you're tentative in your knowledge of a particular idea? So we're going to come back to this constantly through the course. But what is knowledge? That's what we're going for. Next, we need you folks to be open-minded. Now it turns out that for most high school students these days, being open-minded is pretty good, pretty easy to do. Young folks tend to be fairly accepting of other people. They tend to listen pretty well to their friends and their ideas. And so being open-minded is, I think, something that comes naturally to many of you. But at the same time, we need you to be principled. We need you to, while being open-minded is a good thing, we also need you to have ideas and be able to justify them and to think them through clearly. So on one hand, being principled might be about being honest and being a good person. Of course, we want you to be that. But principled is also a word we're going to use to have you think about thinking carefully. Make sure you understand how your thinking is operating. Is it effective? Is it efficient? Is it appropriate? So it's great to be open-minded, it's great to be accepting of other people and other ideas, but we also need you to be principled and think carefully about these ideas. Next, and I'm going to be honest with you here, I think this is going to be the area that's going to be the most challenging for many of you. We need you to be risk takers. Unlike some of the other classes you've taken in your life, we're not really going to be seeking the right answer to particular test questions. Yeah, we're going to have quizzes, we're going to have tests, and there will be right answers on these sorts of things. But we need you to be risk takers. We need you to be willing to engage in the material and for a moment think, well, maybe I don't know everything there is to know about a particular subject area, and I'm going to work really hard to take a chance and to try to expose myself to new ideas. So when there isn't a right answer to go for, when we're not giving you overtly exactly what we need you to do, we need you still to go along for the ride. We need you to be able to take risks. And one of the last things that ToK students need to be, which is really important, is good communicators. Now, as we'll explain as the course moves on, you're going to have two major assessments to do for the International Baccalaureate. There's a presentation you have to do, and there's also a paper you have to do. So you have to be good at communicating both verbally, orally, and on paper. And I think for many of you folks, being good communicators verbally, again, might be something that comes natural, and you're pretty good at it because you've given plenty of presentations. I think being a good communicator for TOK in the written form is going to be something that you'll find to be a little bit more challenging. But if you can't communicate your ideas, whether we're talking about an in-class discussion or an online forum discussion that we'll be doing, or on that TOK paper itself, you're going to find it challenging to articulate what you want to say in the way that's going to make it clear to the reader, to the viewer, to the other person, what it is you're trying to get at. So be thinkers, but don't be just thinkers, be thinkers about thought, be thinkers about knowledge. We need you to be open-minded, we need you to pay attention to what's going on around you, what other people have to say, but we also need you to be principled in your thinking, okay? Be careful, be precise in your thinking. Be willing to go along for the ride, even if at times you don't quite know where things are going, be willing to take that risk. And again, make sure that you can communicate the ideas effectively to other people. So that's what we need you folks to be as TOK students. In the next video, we'll start to unpack what's the TOK class itself all about. Okay, we'll see you next time.